Hey everyone, it's Jonathan, and today's episode is sort of a prequel to what will be coming next week. I'm prepping this episode in advance because at the time it goes up, I will be at the 2026 Julien Dubuque International Film Festival. Last year was the first year that I attended with Trivial Theater, and we are planning to make this a regular thing, so I figured I would go back and get the first year's episode to share here, and then as soon as I'm back and have this year's finished, it will be up as well. Hey everyone, it's Jonathan. In today's podcast is a full-length version of the miniseries I released last week, covering my trip to Dubuque, Iowa for the Julien Dubuque International Film Festival with Trivial Theater. Nicki, aka Trivial Theater, had gotten some free tickets and wanted me to join her for the week. I had never been to a film festival. I've always heard about them, especially now getting into the online movie reviewing space. I have friends out in Colorado and Utah who go to a bunch of film festivals. Sundance is the big one, but I'd never really thought about going to one on my own. Mostly because I live in Iowa and I didn't know there were any near here. Well, it turns out there are, mostly smaller ones, and usually with a niche, but there's actually a pretty decent sized one all the way on the other side of the state that I had no idea existed, and now I had the opportunity to go to for free. So I worked everything out with my job and left Wednesday afternoon, met up with Nicki, and Thursday we set out on the town to watch movies. The films play all over Dubuque in various theaters, some historic theaters, and even an opera house, some regular theaters, and some conference rooms that have been turned into temporary theaters with a projector. We recorded every night after we got back from the theater, so we'll have all the reviews of all the movies we watched, so you'll know the best ones to look out for when/if they get a wider release outside the festival circuit. Okay, let's get on to the Julien Dubuque International Film Festival with Trivial Theater. Well, our first in-person podcast.
It had to come to it at some point.
Haven't done too many in-person podcasts with people. Mainly just my cousin Sarah and my friend Sam because they're in the same area as me.
That does help. You've traveled quite a distance to get here, but what a here you've come to.
Yes. We're here for what is the full exact title?
So the shortened version is JDIFF. The longer version is the Julien Dubuque International Film Festival.
Okay.
And I think it's on its 13th year.
Okay.
So 13th or 12th, but anyway.
Yes, you scored us some free tickets, so.
I worked my magic, what can I say?
So I think we're going to do this in parts. I'll probably edit it into one podcast. I don't really feel like editing tonight to make a video to put up right away. So
Fair.
Once I get home, I'll turn this into one podcast, but we'll record each night after we get back and talk about what we saw.
Absolutely. And that's probably the best way to do it because we're seeing a lot of short blocks as well as feature-length pieces too. So,
Well, the first one we saw today was called Piggy Duster, which that one was really good.
Yeah.
Like, I wasn't sure what to expect with that one. It looked decent from the trailer, but sometimes with like indie films, you never know what kind of acting quality you're going to get. So I was hoping that this would be good, and it was.
Yeah, it was beautifully shot. The trailer kind of made it look different than what you definitely got in the end product. But yeah, I mean, it hit a lot of emotional beats. The photography was gorgeous. Yeah, it kind of hit you where you live if you were in the right place. So
I think they said they shot on location in Colorado.
Yeah,
Like in a forest. It looked really nice.
It did, and I think one of the guys that was up there, I don't know if he was producer or director, but he was saying that his family went there as a child as well. So it was a place well known to him. But and it's a lot of it is talking back and forth, but it didn't feel like it was a lot of talking. Like the dialogue flowed nicely.
The way they put it together, it felt so much better than it would if you just told somebody it's an hour and a half of people talking in a tent.
Yeah, and that's truly a good chunk of it was that. But then you bookend it with just absolutely gorgeous shots of nature, and they colorized the heck out of it. Like the saturation.
It's very
levels.
saturated.
Oh my god! Like it was almost too much, but I think they got that sweet spot because they did talk about it's not a magical story. But there is some magic in the context of their conversation and how they both grow through their time on the mountain, too. So, and a real bear.
Yes, that surprised me the most because, like, in the trailer, you saw the shadow of the bear outside, and I was just kind of expecting some sort of a janky puppet, which is fine.
Yeah.
But I wasn't expecting an actual live bear. So when an actual live bear stuck its head in the tent, I was like, okay, this is pretty great.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, if you go looking for any of these movies that we're going to talk about, the feature lengths are obviously going to be easier to find than the shorts. Any that you can seek out are definitely worth looking for. Piggy Duster is they mention Piggy Duster being a line from a movie that the two of them saw when the girl was younger, and they never really say what the movie is. And when I tried to find where that quote was from, it only came up with more promotion for the movie. So Piggy Duster is a pretty easy one to find.
Yeah.
Although being on the festival circuit, it may be a while before you can find it out and about.
But I think it's worth watching.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Definitely. And it hits some emotional notes, but I don't think it's anything that's going to leave you devastated to the point of not being able to function. You will not be crying in your cereal. So.
Yeah.
Not sure why cereal.
it got more bittersweet towards the end, but it didn't go to a point where I was like, this is too depressing. I don't want to see this ever again.
Yeah.
Because some movies will end on like a really bad note, and I just, even if it was a great movie, I'm like, I don't want to see that again. But I could watch this one again.
Absolutely. And there is that, there is some decent humor. You get the kind of like cringeworthy dad for a while, which is pretty great. It balances humor and like the emotion of the moment pretty well, I would say.
Yeah.
I don't think you need to mention the name of the short block, really. Just the fact that it was a block of shorts, I suppose.
Yeah, I don't even remember what block of shorts it was. I just know we saw a block of shorts next.
I mean, it's With Fire and Breath, A Dying Art.
With Fire and Breath, A Dying Art that one was probably the shortest one. It was over and done real quick.
It was 8 minutes.
Yeah, it was this guy was it an island? It was a remote location.
I thought it was India.
Well, yeah,
Southern
India, but he lived in a place where it's like far away from what you normally think of when you think of India. He was like out in. It was in
the on the border of India on the Arabic Sea. So it's on the western side of India. So.
But he was like a jewelry maker. He like did the old school With Fire and Breath is the title. Like that's how he made the jewelry, like to melt the gold and do everything by hand. And he was just talking about it being a dying art.
It didn't get and again, it's an 8-minute piece, so you're not going to get real in depth. But yeah, it was an intriguing short, and like any story of a dying art, I mean, you've got an elderly gentleman who is incredibly gifted at his craft. They talk about what he does for the community, how things were, how things are. I mean, that was kind of the length and breadth of it. You really can't say that there was a resolution for it. It did end properly, but yeah, what do you say about a dying art of something like that? The pieces looked beautiful, but I mean, industry standards and what people require being as they are, they're going to do what they do. But
yeah.
Next one up was the Wilhelm Scream.
That one was probably my favorite of this block.
Oh yeah, same.
Like if anybody is into like movie trivia, they know what the Wilhelm Scream is. But this was a short that kind of went into the backstory of the Wilhelm Scream, figuring out where it came from and who was actually doing the screaming.
and that is fascinating because you always hear it was from this. Well, there are two different places where it's assumed that it came from. It was either a guy getting shot in the leg with an arrow and a sound effect added to that, or a guy being eaten by an alligator.
It was kind of both.
Yeah.
Like the guy being shot with the arrow was like how it was discovered. Like it was the first one where they could trace it back to. But I think it was recorded for a movie where a guy was getting eaten by an alligator.
Yeah, exactly. And the guy that did the recording of the scream, they actually did what's called vocal forensics, which apparently is as unique to an individual as a fingerprint. But they were able to track it back to the guy who sang One-Eyed, One-Armed Flying Purple People Eater. Which is, I mean, for what the Wilhelm Scream is, that seems heavily appropriate.
Yeah.
But yeah, the story behind it was fascinating. It actually started as a joke between like a really like very small in joke between two guys, and it just kind of expanded from there over the course of time.
Mm-hmm.
So fascinating little short though.
Yeah.
Up next was probably the next one up is one of the most interestingly titled pieces. Existential action thriller.
Which is not what the title sounds like.
No, it definitely like you think it's probably going to be some kind of either existential crisis or some kind of like very heart-pumping movie, and it's kind of the opposite.
Yeah. It was pretty entertaining though. It was pretty short, but it was one of those where I wanted more of this person.
Oh yeah. Basically this lady who lives out in I think it was Yucca Valley.
I think so. It was a desert.
Yeah,
Mojave Desert.
Mojave Desert. She described it as like one of the hottest places on Earth. If your AC goes out, you're basically dead, but it's the best place on Earth. And she runs what is essentially an artist commune.
Kind of. So, like a studio where people come and stay for a while. She's got a bunch of trailers on the land, and
yeah,
they make stuff.
Yeah, and she goes out and like she looks at basically garbage and sees the human body in it.
The scene where she's like going in this empty field and just being so entranced by all the like styrofoam cups and just debris blowing across the field. It's like, I don't understand her, but I love her.
Oh yeah. Well, and she gives, for lack of a better term, humanity to all of these pieces that she finds, because she asks, what was it in its former life? So if you've got a cup, did it hold coffee? Was it used on a work site? Was it a kit? Those kind of questions. What is it currently, and what has the environment done to it? So if it's been, bleached by the sun, if it's been pierced on a cactus, whatever it might be, and what is its potential, in her hands, basically. So, so she'll take whatever the thing is, she'll cast it in whatever kind of medium, so be it metal, be it
like
glass.
a cardboard box that had been sitting in her yard for a year, withering away. She cast in aluminum, and now it's a sculpture of a squished cardboard box.
Yeah, it was a box that was sitting in the rain, and she took it and turned it into this piece of art that she can use to memorialize this box that she saw on her back 40.
She's the kind of person, like, her taste is not my taste. But I love that she exists, and I love that she makes this stuff, because she makes the world more interesting.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like, her passion for weird, existential, quirky things. I guess it's in the title. But all of that stuff just, it breathes life, and it's such a unique perspective. You can't help but be drawn to her.
Yeah.
And then the last one was called Locker Room Talk, which it kind of... it was a very good piece, but it kind of stretched the boundaries for what you would consider a short. Yeah,
the first three were so short. Because they talked, like, I think they said there was 4, and we got through the first 3 pretty quick, and I was like, oh, well, this must have been I didn't realize how short the block was going to be, but then this one just kept going on and on. Like, it was a good short in quotes, because it was like 45 minutes. It was a good piece. But it was long.
It was very. Basically, the idea was a group of high school football players were doing like not a seminar, but kind of a learning
kind of
to
like
be,
a workshop.
Yeah.
Like a writer's workshop.
Yeah, on how to be, what it is to be a man, what it is to have the expectations thrust upon them, what they wanted to be. Basically allowing themselves to state their feelings and do all that kind of stuff, and how to do it and how to do it properly, and to become basically better men, essentially. Yeah. But it did get a little long in the tooth as far as like the message and everything. Like, it was a very good message. It just, with a good editor, it could have had the same message but been about 5 or 6 minutes shorter.
I think what they were doing was important, and it would be a good thing for this workshop to go to different schools.
Absolutely.
But as a film, it did feel long.
Yeah. Well, again, I think it goes back to the expectation of what is a short.
Yeah, and I was expecting it to be a lot shorter than that. So when it just kept going, and also I had a headache, so that didn't help. Not this movie's fault. I just hadn't drank enough water earlier, so
yeah.
I wasn't I was kind of ready to get out of there, and then it kept going on and on and on.
But yeah, all of these shorts, I highly suggest them. Again, the shorts aren't necessarily the easiest thing to find, but all of these, well worth like giving a look.
I feel like Locker Room Talk will probably end up on a streaming service
Oh,
somewhere
yeah.
because it's 45 minutes long. It's not like
No.
the with Fire and Breath. That one's 8 minutes. That one's going to be hard to find, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's probably going to be you search up. Well, and I mean, it's such a niche. Well, any of these. I mean, there's such niche topics.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not the existential action thriller.
That felt like something I would have seen in art school.
Yeah,
Like,
100%.
We watched a lot of weird short art films when I was taking art classes.
Mm-hmm.
That felt like something we would have watched in college.
Oh, yeah.
So I bet that's going to end up in a college class at some point.
Agreed. But I think with the with Fire and Breath, something like that, if you go out searching for dying arts or, search out that neck of the woods, you're definitely going to run into this. But yeah, it's definitely not something you're going to find on Netflix. But
I suppose that one could be maybe uploaded to YouTube, but it depends on how far the person wants to put it out there.
very true. And, for all of the shorts that we've run across, or you run across generally, the intent from the person that directed it, whether it was a class project or, raising awareness for something, or just to tell a good story, it's going to depend on where they want to put it. If they want to monetize it, where do you take it? There's so many different things to consider.
The Wilhelm scream, though, that one I feel like that one's one like movie fans would really like that one.
Oh, God, yeah.
So hopefully that one ends up somewhere.
Yeah, and I'm not sure with something like that if you can find, like if you searched up the production company or maybe just the fact of like Wilhelm Scream movie or something like that. Because it's a great bundle of information in like a 12-minute package.
Mm-hmm.
It goes by quick. There's a lot of interesting like people interviewed. It's well put together.
It was. Sometimes documentaries, even documentary shorts, can feel not just long like Locker Room Talk, but like they feel like they've got too much going on and not enough at the same time. Mm-hmm. Like talking to too many people, but they're not saying enough interesting stuff. The Wilhelm Scream one, it's like everything was important in that, and they did a really good job turning it into a story.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the explanation that they spend dollars on small details, but pennies on the things that really mattered when it comes to a lot of documentary type things. But yeah, no, the Wilhelm Scream was fantastic. It was well put together, and like you said, your favorite of the block, certainly my favorite as well, and
yeah,
definitely worth a view.
Yeah.
But the last thing we saw was a movie called Film is Dead. Long live film.
Yeah. Which I think is my favorite thing we saw today.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And not to say everything else wasn't good, because like the bar was set pretty high with Piggy Duster and those shorts. But yeah, this was next level. Like it's... Mm-hmm. And again, I think it's again, like Wilhelm Scream, it's very much based around people that enjoy movies.
Yes. And another documentary that does a lot, but it doesn't feel too long. Like no. It was pretty long. But it never felt like, okay, when's this going to wrap up? Because everything that they shot and included was important. All the interviews were important. Mm-hmm. All the B-roll was important. Mm-hmm. Everything they did served the story, and it was really well put together.
Absolutely. A basic story was talking about film preservation, specifically of film stock, mm-hmm. and kind of some of the history of that, like how a lot of, lost media happens. A lot of stuff, you get these people that collect film and try and salvage what they can. And the director actually followed several collectors through multiple years.
Yeah, the movie was made, I think he said, over the course of at least 6 years.
Yeah, yeah. And the heart that goes into it, you can see that he was very passionate about it. Mm-hmm. And like any kind of issue you could see with film preservation, they really did hit upon it.
Yeah.
I mean, everything from, where it was in the 70s and 80s to these people that have been collecting for 40 odd years and they have storage units full, but they can't do anything with a lot of the stuff that they have. And what do you do with it? I mean, there's one, they get a quote from one gentleman that was basically like, the money that was spent on all of these films that could have been put towards a better life for him and his family. But where do you draw the line between hobby and obsession? Mm-hmm. And they didn't go into it as a bad thing. It was just another piece of the puzzle.
Yeah,
So,
I think his son said something like just something to think about.
yeah,
Like it
100%.
wasn't something he was upset about.
No, definitely not. But with any hobby,
Yeah.
there's that balance. But with something like this, where it is, kind of a one-off thing, you lose that piece and it's gone forever.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I can see why a lot of people tried. It's like trying to, save priceless pieces. So,
Mm-hmm. And I know they said for a lot of people it wasn't really about saving that. It was just like they just wanted to do it.
oh yeah,
But even in just wanting to do it, they were still even accidentally preserving history,
absolutely.
which is now more of what's going on. Like that's more important now than just collecting.
Absolutely.
But it was really, from both perspectives, it was fascinating. And all the people they interviewed from doing it all the way back then to now.
And even the next generation of like where it goes from here.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they even covered film festivals, and the thing is, they didn't just talk about films as far film as in movies. They talked about home movies. They talked about like reels that used to play at drive-ins. They talked about commercials.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, anything that was shot on film, they kind of discussed.
Mm-hmm.
And all of that stuff was important to some aspect of someone's life.
Yeah.
Even if it's just a snapshot of history and not a, Hollywood movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the historical aspect of it is the most interesting thing to me.
Very much.
Because, like, there's a lot of old movies that's like, it's fine. But, like, the fact that there's so much history that is lost, that's what makes this so important and fascinating to me.
Yeah.
Like, even if I don't really care about an old movie, I still want it to be preserved, and I still want to see it just because of its historical significance.
Oh, yeah. Well, and there's so much, again, you talk about, so much lost media that the movie itself may not have been perfect, but it gains that little extra because it's lost.
Yeah.
I mean, like in a lot of the stuff that I review, a lot of those pieces were lost media, or the way that they managed to survive. The story of how how it managed to make it to modern day is probably more interesting than the movie itself.
I ran into that earlier this year with the Alice in Russia Land, something I covered for Wonderland Wednesday / Every Version Ever. It's something that the people thought was lost, and that was made in the 90s.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow.
But the fact that it was lost and then found again, that to me is more fascinating than the movie itself.
Oh, yeah.
Because the movie itself was just kind of, that was a thing. But I just thought it was more, the more interesting discussion for that one with me was just the history behind it.
Oh, yeah. There was one I ran across when I first started reviewing called Deathbed. And, like, goofy title aside, it was over in the UK. The guy was from California. They were going to distribute it in the UK. There was the guy at the distributor that made a random illegal copy. And they decided not to distribute the movie, so they just dumped the movie. Through this illegal copy, it got spread across Europe and ended up in Australia. And then and this was back in the 70s, it showed up at a film fest in 2009. Just out of the blue. And it was premiered there. And then someone managed to get a hold of the director and was talking to him about it. Like, they tracked him down, and then they finally got around to releasing it and distributing it properly. But the fact that it made it all the way around the world over the course of 40 or 50 odd years. And the movie itself it's a strange, abstract movie, but it's so cool that it exists.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. With so many of those, the story behind it is more fascinating than the movie itself.
Oh, yeah. Well, and that's the case again, like the reels and some of the stuff, like you have, there was unknown or footage that had been shot of the guy that kidnapped Charles Lindbergh's baby. And it was footage that was not supposed to have existed.
Yeah.
And the one collector's dad got it from the guy that shot it because they didn't end up using it for a newsreel. Like pieces of history like that show you a completely different side of things. It's fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah, so of all these, that's probably our highest recommendation if you can find a copy to watch. I think he said it's going to be released on Blu-ray, so.
Yeah, I think it was on streaming as well. The studio for that is Cold Eye. He's based out of Boston. I don't think that matters one way or the other, but definitely seek out that one. If you have any interest in film history or just film in general, it's just a fascinating watch.
Yeah, definitely.
All right.
Okay, well, that's probably all for tonight.
Yes.
So I
Wahoo.
guess we'll see you tomorrow. Okay, day 2.
Day 2. Much like day 1, but not at all like day 1.
No, very different from day 1.
Yes. For one thing, there was no shorts.
Sort of.
True. Also, we are both wearing pants, not shorts, because it was quite a chilly day.
Yeah, until the end, and I got hot, now I'm cold again.
Yeah. Well, that does tend to happen, Room full of people, and it's a relatively small space.
Yeah.
Plus a very warm projector.
Yeah.
But more on that later.
The first one we saw was Magnetosphere. That one was an independent film that actually had people I recognized in it. So that was a first.
Yeah,
for
yeah.
these.
It was, I don't remember, I don't think she said how much it was made for, but, it had a almost movie-sized cast, I'd say.
Yeah.
Like, proper movie. They went through, full-blown casting agents, so it's definitely independent. It's not what you would call, tiny budget independent, so there was clearly a good, solid backing behind it. But I think this was only her second feature, and it was a well-done piece, I thought.
Mm-hmm. It was.
I mean, any movie that features a kitchen toilet in the first 20 minutes is okay with me.
The main person that most people would recognize was Colin Mockery, who was a plumber / exterminator who initially came to fix a kitchen toilet.
Yes.
Or take the kitchen toilet out of the kitchen and put it in a proper location.
Yeah.
But then he kept coming back and being weird because he's Colin Mockery.
Absolutely. But he was... I would almost, if you've ever seen Scrubs, he was like Janitor. He was a very
Enigmatic.
Enigmatic, thank you. Brain's not working.
He was a little bit crazier than Janitor.
He was a little crazier than Janitor, but just the random stuff that popped up and kind of the hidden bits. He just kept pulling out random things and they worked. Mm-hmm. This movie had so many, it was genuinely funny. I mean, it was funny anyway.
Yeah.
But there was you're sitting there and watching this movie about a 13-year-old coming of age, and then all of a sudden there's just all of these random funny moments that kind of slap you in the face in a very loving way. Mm-hmm. You get some of that in the trailer, but it balances drama and comedy pretty well, I thought.
It did. And at first I was feeling this almost feels like a film made by a church, if that makes sense.
No, I agree. Definitely had bits of that.
But it kept getting better and better as it went on.
And it had... Some of the pieces were very separate. It was almost kind of episodic the way that it kind of went along, but everything did get tied up well at the end, I thought.
Yeah.
There was also a lot of music, which personally, it was to explain some of what she has. She's got,
synesthesia.
Yeah, so you can, hear color.
Yeah, synesthesia manifests itself in very different ways in different people. Mm-hmm. I'm more familiar with it because I think one of my cousins has a version of it where she sees letters as colors.
Really?
So, for example, she might see B is green and C is brown. But then there's other people who will say, no, those are not the correct colors to go with those letters. So it's very different for different people, but it's two senses firing at once.
Right.
So it's hallucination adjacent. It's not a full hallucination. I don't know all the aspects of it. I don't have it, but
right. It's
an interesting phenomenon that manifests itself in very different ways. And for the character in this movie, it was more visual than anything.
Very much.
She would see colors when things made noises, or not like an aura, but portrayed on screen as an aura around people. Mm-hmm. Different people had a different color to her.
And it wasn't really a positive or negative thing. Those were just the colors that they happen to have.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was an interesting thing because it was kind of talking about, she was 13, so it was kind of coming of age. It was new school, crush on a guy that was in the play that her dad was running. Mm-hmm. It was talking about this synesthesia. There was a little bit about the Hale-Bopp comet, but I think it was just to kind of ground it in time generally. Yeah,
I kind of expected the Hale-Bopp comet to be more of a thing, but it kind of wasn't.
Yeah.
It was there at the beginning and then you kind of forgot about it. Maybe they mentioned it towards the end, but it wasn't a huge part of the movie like I expected it to be.
It could have been something that was left out, but I think because of the connection to her crush is probably why.
Yeah, probably.
That's my assumption, but it wasn't an overarching thing. She could have just had an interest in space.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Tara Strong shows up, too. Yeah.
As the voice of a doll / her inner monologue / fears.
Yeah, all of her internal
insecurities.
All of her insecurities as, someone freshly 13. Well, not freshly, I guess she was a little bit older. Like, she was at the tail end of 13, but yeah, it was an interesting movie for sure. And again, built around music. I didn't think the music was as necessary, but I can see why it was there. It actually, and I don't know if you got the vibe, it gave me kind of like a better version of like a Disney movie from like the 2000s.
Kind of.
Like it kind of has that whimsy, but there's some good messages in there as well. Like it's much better done than a lot of like Disney shows from that time or Disney movies, like Disney Channel movies from that time.
Yeah.
But it kind of had that aspect.
It's kind of like a Christian / church movie mixed with a Disney Channel movie mixed with an independent film.
Right. And more quirky characters than you can shake a stick at.
Yeah.
Like I'm pretty sure every single adult in this movie was just, I don't know, they were
weird in their own way.
Oh man, they were endearing. They weren't bad. And the little sister too. Yes. You get like and again, I think that's maybe where it came into play being more kind of Disney Channel movie. Like the adults are super quirky. The main character is kind of the long-suffering main character. And then like the little sister or little brother.
That is probably what gave it the Disney feel.
Yeah. And
Disney
then the little
Channel feel specifically.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And little sister is like wise beyond her years. She just kind of rolls her eyes at the hysterics that her sister's in.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. Highly recommend. It's called Magnosphere, or Magnetosphere. Yeah. But yeah, worth checking out. I think it was going to be coming to Tubi and other streaming services.
So. I think she was working on that.
Yeah. I think they were going to find out in June or July of this year.
I should mention too, like Colin Mockery was not the only person that I recognized. Like there was a bunch of people I thought I recognized, but then I looked them up and I was like, maybe I don't. Like the one girl, Wendy, I could have sworn I knew her from somewhere and I didn't recognize anything on her IMDb. But Stephen He was the guy that the girl had a crush on. He also helped produce the film.
Oh, cool.
And then the thing that was the most shocking to me was the dad. Like through the whole movie, I was like, this dad seems so familiar. Mm-hmm. So I looked him up. Patrick McKenna, which the name did not immediately ring a bell. So I clicked on his name. And for anyone who grew up in like either Canada or Iowa, if you know the Red Green Show, he was the nephew Harold. Oh,
that's incredible. That's awesome that you figured that out.
I was shocked when I saw that. I was like, oh my word. Like that, because he does not look the same. Like he does not look at all like Harold from the Red Green Show. But I guess it was something in his eyes or something. I don't know. I just recognized something about him. I was like, oh my word.
Nice.
This guy that I grew up watching. He's now a lot older, of course, but
well, that does happen.
That was the most random person to see in a movie. I was not expecting that at all. Yeah, that was a fun movie. I kind of wish we'd ended on that one. I almost feel like I needed like a fun movie at the end.
Yeah, considering how the day ended. And not that the day ended badly, it just was... Yeah, it needed to end with that Porky short. That would have been the way to end that, but we will get to that.
Well, after that, we saw a movie called Seance.
Yes.
And that was one that I'm not a horror person, so that wouldn't have been like one of my choices, but I knew you wanted to see it. And then I saw the trailer and was like, okay, it's a period piece. Mm-hmm. This could be kind of fun. I actually think it might be my favorite thing I saw today.
Oh yeah, no, it definitely ranks up there. It's not specifically Hitchcockian. The director talked about it being kind of inspired by stuff like the 1960s Haunting, The Haunting of Hill House, which the 90s equivalent is called The Haunting with Liam Neeson and other various people like Owen Wilson. But yeah, the 60s version of that, it's definitely psychological thriller. I would honestly kind of put it in a Hitchcockian, if you're not talking about Psycho, it definitely falls into that level of movie. Mm-hmm. without giving too much away, there might be something paranormal going on, but there may not be something paranormal going on. It was really well put together.
Yeah, and well acted.
Oh, yeah. No, very much. The director was also like a supporting character. And I think she also either produced it or wrote it. She said that she wasn't aiming to keep it period specific, but generally speaking, it takes place in the 1890s. They had 3 different homes that they used as sets for the kind of the house that they take part in, or that takes place in. I'm trying to think. It was made for about $1 million and shot in, I think, either 12 or 19 days.
Well, the locations is what made it feel so...
Oh, yeah.
Maybe higher budget than you would have expected.
I would agree, 100%.
Because, like, while I was watching, I was like, this does not feel like an indie film.
No.
And the bulk of that feeling was coming from, this is a great location.
It's excellent. And yeah, so they filmed in 3 different period houses, one of which was a museum. So all of the props and everything, or the furniture and all that stuff was definitely, relatively speaking, period accurate. There's a creepy doll involved because, as a horror movie, it's a requirement. But they went, I guess, to estate sales and found a whole bunch of very, very, very creepy, like, dolls. And that was probably, like, the generally scariest part.
Probably. And maybe that's why I didn't find the movie that scary. But
no.
I'm not a person who is afraid of dolls. Like, it's one of those things, like, I think they're interesting to look at. They don't freak me out at all. I don't understand people who are freaked out by dolls.
Yeah.
Even winding it up and making it say "Mama, that" didn't freak me out. Like, there was not really anything that really scared me about this movie. And it had great characters, which is why I liked it so much.
And they definitely... Like any good, like if you look at like The Walking Dead or things in that nature, you've got zombies, or in this case, you have the possibility of paranormal stuff. But in the grand scheme, it's kind of, it sets the tone for what's going on. But the real piece that's interesting is the drama between the people, kind of the interpersonal play.
Yeah. And
this one, without giving away too much, you've got 2 very complicated relationship type couples.
Yeah.
And there's clearly things going on between various members of them. And the way that plays out is very interesting. And it's done in a very, without being silly, it takes place in a mature way.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like, Housewives of Beverly Hills level drama. They handle it like adults. And I think it's a refreshing thing because so many movies do go off the deep end when it comes to that stuff.
And there was points where I thought maybe they were going in that direction, but they didn't.
Yeah, no, agreed. And even little things, talking of production, like the whole time that they're in this house, it's raining and thundering and such, raining and lightning outside. Yeah. And that's a consistent thing that you keep up. Like, you go by a window, and they don't obviously have to mention it every time, but it's always there. And it just adds such atmosphere. It really pulls you into that world.
It does.
Yeah. I was impressed.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah. Like, I didn't 100% know, like, you can watch the trailer with any movie. You can watch the trailer and kind of have a general idea, but they managed to subvert my expectations. And I walked away really impressed.
Yeah. So the next one was...
The Last Hounds.
And you can probably give some backstory on this, because this was a local film.
Yeah, so Dubuque was, where the film fest takes place, was the first place that had a Greyhound dog track. And it opened in the 80s, and because of animal rights issues, which are a genuine thing that go on, several tracks across the United States have closed, and Dubuque's was one of the last ones to close. I think the guy said there was like 2 left in existence now. But
in the States. In
the States, yeah, not internationally. But the movie the documentary kind of follows the last month or so of the Dubuque Greyhound Park, and kind of the impact on the people here that worked there for well over 35 years. They go to where the National Museum for Greyhounds is down in Kansas, and they talk to breeders there. They kind of got a really well-versed look, and I'd say pretty balanced look at the whole situation.
That's how I felt.
Yeah. They kind of showed like the way that the dogs were cared for, And I mean, they acknowledge the fact that there could be bad eggs, or there could be, there's always bad apples, and, acknowledge the things that have gone wrong. But this guy found out about it, I think, a few months before the park here in Dubuque closed down. And he did a great job of kind of covering everything. Mm-hmm. He talked to a journalist that started out as very skeptical about how greyhound racing goes, and she gave a very balanced look at it. Mm-hmm. It was a fascinating documentary.
Yeah, it was really well done.
Yeah.
Something that I didn't really know anything about. Like I know that greyhound racing exists, but it's not something that I've ever been interested in to watch or know anything about. So it was really interesting to see what actually goes into that.
Oh yeah. Even just the raising of breeding of greyhounds generally, like this specific set of them are bred for speed. Mm-hmm. And they were talking about how, because you don't have that specific function for them anymore, or as much of a demand for them anymore, that specific breed of greyhound goes away, given a few generations, which I guess, like everything else, I mean, that's kind of a foregone conclusion for anything if you take away what's the demand for it. But there were actually quite a few people in the crowd that were either interviewed or had some part in the Greyhound Park, and like the question and answer session, which they do for every director, went on quite a lot longer, and it was very interesting to see the back and forth.
Yeah, it was. That also helped the experience, because you get even more than in the documentary with the conversations between the director and the people who were in attendance.
Absolutely. And I think that he learned a lot just from other members of the community as well that he may not have otherwise been aware. Because I think he said he was from LA or someplace.
I think he said LA.
Yeah, definitely was not from Dubuque. But when he found out about what was going on, so the Dubuque Greyhound Park closed down in 2022, he reached out to the 4 remaining Greyhound parks, and Dubuque was the only one that would talk to him. So, yeah, it hit close to home, and so every year with Julian Film Fest, they do like a People's Choice, and I feel like because this one, and we're filming this a day before, or we're talking about this a day before the actual awards, but I would imagine that if this isn't the winner for the People's Choice, it's going to be pretty close in there, just given the local appeal. Mm-hmm. So,
I guess we could probably do an update tomorrow.
Yeah, well, probably Sunday would probably be the time to do that, because the award show is tomorrow night.
Oh, okay.
So we may, well, I guess we probably could. Yeah, we'll get back to you on that. So, but no, absolutely. If you have any interest in the politics that go along, well, not even the politics, just the issues that kind of come with anything dealing with animal racing or monetization of animals. Mm-hmm. It's an interesting one. I would say it gives a pretty balanced look. Like, they acknowledge the faults, but they show the way that they're brought up. Mm-hmm. If you're willing to be open-minded, it's a really solid piece to watch.
Yeah, it was good.
Very thorough.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that was our last movie.
Yes.
For the day. But we still had 2 other shows that we went to.
Ha 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 ha! I feel bad for John. I dragged him into these. Though you weren't kicking and screaming, and I am very appreciative of that.
No, they were interesting. Like, maybe not from a fully entertainment perspective, like to go watch a movie. It wasn't that kind of an experience, but just from a historical perspective, both of them were very interesting. Oh, yeah.
But kind of, so there's 16 millimeter showings that they bring back a gentleman that is the curator of a 5,000 reel archive out in, I think, Portland, Oregon.
Yeah.
And it came from another gentleman that collected all of these movies and commercials and documentaries and shorts and anything and everything that could be put to film. This collection includes those. Mm-hmm. And so every year he puts together a compilation reel. One is called the
Psychotronic After School Special.
Right. And then
if it's not that, it's something close to that.
I think it is Phosotronic After School Special. That's the consistent one. The other one is always kind of a crapshoot as to what it is. Last year it was talking about psychedelic drugs and kind of like countercultural stuff, and this year it was Speakeasy, which was film reels and stories and whatnot from the 20s and 30s. But the After School Special, it had Schoolhouse Rock, one of those.
Which I think I recognized it. Like, it wasn't one that I, like, watched a lot. Like, Schoolhouse Rock was something that played on Saturday mornings.
Oh, yeah.
When I was a kid. Mm-hmm. So, like, that wasn't something that I would always specifically watch, but it would be, like, in between the other things. Mm-hmm. So I don't ever remember, like, watching Schoolhouse Rock, but I saw enough of them that some of them stuck in my brain. Of course, the I'm Just a Bill. Yeah. And Conjunction Junction, of course. But this one was, I think, Interplanet Janet.
Yes.
And I was like, I feel like I recognize this. Like, it wasn't one that I must have seen a lot, because I didn't recognize everything, but, like, there was something about the tune and that character flying through space. And I was like, I know I've seen this. Mm-hmm.
It was super cute, though.
Yeah.
Like, very desaturated, just because, obviously, of age, but super cute. There was a doodle short, or there was a Canadian film board movie that was talking about doodles. That was crazy.
It was odd. It was, like, set up like a documentary about trailing this guy through his life, but I think it was fictional.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was, too.
Like, I'm not sure what the point of it was.
That's the thing.
I wasn't sure about a lot of these.
And some of that stuff, there really isn't a point. They're meant to entertain just as much as be educational. I mean, because the doodling thing is kind of just a thing that you do, and, you know, it's kind of highlighting it. There was a couple. There was one, what was it called? Make a Wish, but for some reason it was focused on all kinds of glass, but it was apparently a series. It went from glass blowing to kind of crystals to normal, like, glassware. It was such a strange, very, very 70s piece, I would say.
It was odd, but it was entertaining.
Oh, yeah, very much so. Then there was the eye one.
Yeah, there was a thing about making glass eyes, but they were also talking about, like, how the eye works. Yeah. It was another odd thing. That one was less entertaining and more just odd.
Yeah, they were making connections that I don't think anybody else would have made or would have wanted to make.
Yeah, I felt like that with a few of these.
They
were making some connection that the through line wasn't really there for me, but I was like, I guess I see where you're going with this.
Yeah. There was one called The Wizard of No, which was an anti-drug, specifically anti-cigarette kind of PSA thing, but it also talked about being anti-drug and anti-alcohol. Basically making good decisions by saying no to things that you don't believe in.
Yeah.
In that respect, so.
For the most part, that was my favorite. I thought their message was really well done.
It was, and it didn't... So many of those, both then and now, can be really pandery really quickly.
Yeah. Very preachy and beating you over the head with the message. Not that this one didn't do that, but I felt like it presented, I want to say more naturally, but like the guy was a wizard that came out of a tin can, so it's not exactly natural, but...
I think it was silly, but it was quirky in a good way for the most part.
Yeah.
Like, because it didn't talk down to its audience. It was more...
No, yeah.
I can't even say it was specifically on its level, but it did a better job than a lot of them. Mm-hmm. It kind of did what Schoolhouse Rock kind of did.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. There was commercial breaks in there, too, so you saw a whole bunch of random commercials from that era. The Ugly Duckling / Unicorn one was...
That one was probably the most bizarre.
Oh, so strange. They kind of did so there was a horse involved in this that was supposed to become a unicorn, and they kind of did what they did with an old show called Mr. Ed, where they put peanut butter in, or it looked like they put peanut butter in the horse's mouth, and it was like not having it. It was not happy.
It was either that or the bit that it was wearing.
Yeah.
One of those things, maybe both, just made the horse like wiggle its lips a lot, and then they just voiced over it.
Yeah, but this little girl wears glasses without lenses for some reason.
I don't remember. Did it even say why she did that? I didn't understand why she was doing that.
And I don't either. And she was apparently quite clumsy. And for some reason, because she was so clumsy, no one believed she could ride a horse that's like attached to the little things that go in circles.
Yeah, it was an odd premise.
Yeah, so then there's a horse that's going out to a farm to become a workhorse, and she runs across the horse and they start arguing, and all of a sudden this gentleman with balloons shows up, and they go on this massive dance across New York.
It was so strange.
It was
entertaining, though.
It was very, like, he was, like, so charismatic and just such a fun...
He seemed familiar. I don't know who he was, but he seemed familiar to me. I don't know how to figure out who he was.
Yeah, I'm sure you could probably look it up. It's got to be someplace. But yeah, and even after all of this building up and confidence building, she's still like, I can't do it! And finally
It went on for a long time, like, trying to get on the horse, but, like, falling off the horse.
It did. And then...
finally climbing up a tree and dropping out of the tree onto the horse's back.
Right, because that makes more sense. That's the first thing you go to. That's like hearing hoofbeats and thinking unicorns instead of zebras. That's very strange. And then for some reason, there was a freeze frame on her smiling awkwardly at the camera for probably a good 7 or 8 minutes.
30 seconds at least. Far too long for a normal freeze frame.
Yeah, if you've ever seen the movie Pearl, it kind of does that, only it's not like live action, it's just a still. But yeah, it's weird. That was fascinating. The next one was called Speakeasy, which again was bits and shorts and commercials and different things from the 20s and 30s. Mm-hmm. So there was a piece on Hoover getting elected president and kind of the Democratic and Republican conventions.
A bunch about the stock market that, well, not that the stock market makes sense to me anyway, but
same.
Didn't really make sense to me, but...
Yeah, so they kind of give a little background on, like, the stock market going up to the crash.
Yeah.
And then kind of after that, there was quite a few musical interludes, I guess.
And some cartoons.
Yep. There was a couple of ones that were done 100% with black casts, which were cool.
That was interesting. Mm-hmm. The one took a turn at the end, but
yeah, a very strange turn.
Like for most of that one, it almost felt like a glimpse into a thing that you wouldn't even know existed because it's not really portrayed in film a lot. At
least mainstream. If you there a lot of underground cinema was where you found fully black casts. Mm-hmm. I don't know, this looked, and not to say that you can't have a professional production done by black actors and funded that way, but it had the look of something done by a studio. So
I'm sure it was because of the way it ended.
Yeah, no, that would make sense.
Like, the way it kind of devolved into some racism, it was like, okay, somebody wanted this to be funny for a white audience.
Yeah, and it was such a strange turn. Like, I don't know. It was just... It
was odd. For the most part, the piece was really interesting and well done with good performances. It just got weird at the end.
Yeah. Very, very strange. It's like someone flipped a switch and then they flipped it back. Mm-hmm. And yeah. There was also a couple of Looney Tunes shorts. There was a sing-along.
Oh, yeah.
They had songs from the late teens, early 20s. So they had... I'm Looking Over a Four-Leaf Clover, I'm Forever Blowing Bubbles, and I don't remember what the third one was, but they were essentially like they'd sing them on screen and then they'd have like a sing-along.
Which I'm assuming was the point of them. They probably did a sing-along back in the day.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like if you were in a theater watching like an afternoon of stuff, yeah, I could totally see that coming up on screen and you go from like Looney Tunes to that and then on to something else. They also had a Cab Calloway / Betty Boop piece where they would have, like you said, rotoscoped Cab Calloway's dance moves onto a walrus.
The walrus was... Okay, this is... I don't know if this is a weird coincidence or not, but there's another short that I recently covered on Every Version Ever in the Cinderella series where Cinderella is being chased by... I described them in the review as walrus demons because I didn't know how else to describe these creatures. But when that thing showed up, I was like, that's one of those walrus demons from that Cinderella short. It's like, what is this? I have no context for what this thing is, but it is weird that it showed up twice.
I would agree. Well, and even in the context of the Betty Boop short, her and Bimbo, which is the little dog that's with her, little dog guy that's with her, they go into a cave and they run across this walrus and he starts doing the Cab Calloway dance to Minnie the Mooch. And there's skeletons and there's a lot of the imagery you get with the more well-known, I think you said Snow White.
Snow White is the one that I've probably seen. It's the one that has the most of that weird stuff that has nothing to do with Snow White.
Right.
Like bizarre imagery.
Yeah, it's kind of Halloween level stuff, but it had all of these imagery pieces and ghosts and all that stuff, but it didn't really make sense as to why you would have a ghost walrus or a walrus demon in with all these other ghosts in this cave. And it doesn't really match. The only thing I could think would be like Alice in Wonderland, but there was no other imagery for Alice in Wonderland to give it that. And why would it be like the walrus, like with the walrus and the carpenter kind of a thing was what I was thinking.
Oh.
But that doesn't really make sense either because there's no other imagery that matches that. So I don't know where they pulled the walrus from.
But it's weird that the walrus showed up in something completely unrelated. I'm trying to remember if maybe Max Fleischer also did that Cinderella short. But the Cinderella short was an ad for a car.
Oh, was it?
Yes. It was a bizarre find I found on YouTube.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm trying to think what else was in there. Oh, there was the Porky Pig Dodo short.
Porky and Wacky Land.
Yeah.
That was the best part of the whole thing.
Oh, very much. I remember seeing that as a little kid, and like I never understood the dark Africa bit, which is you could take it as a racist thing. I always took it as like the deepest parts where no one had been, and
I think that's probably what it was supposed to mean. That's how I interpreted it as a kid.
Yeah,
maybe it has
same.
racist undertones, but I always interpreted it as some place that you nobody's ever been. You don't know what's there.
Right.
Which, like, he goes into past darkest Africa into a question mark, which is where Wacky Land is. Right. So I think that was probably what they were going for.
Yeah. Well, when you have 100 nuts and one squirrel, I mean, I wouldn't mind living there. It sounds like fun. The last piece, like they warned beforehand that specific piece of the hour and a half show would be very dark, but then it would end on kind of an interesting note. And it was all like Nazi blowing stuff up and tanks and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And then it went to, I think, Budapest in the 60s. Like it looked like 50s people dressed up in the 50s or 60s. And there's a guy playing the sax, and then you hear marching in the distance. And then eventually the marching kind of
it just kept getting louder and louder and louder to the point it feels oppressive. It's so loud in the room.
Oh yeah. Honestly, between the marching and the sax, like it was like if you go to like low budget 60s movies and there's a saxophone involved in any kind of like the soundtrack. That's the kind of sax you had here, was kind of an apathetic sax, if there is such a thing. But yeah, it was a very strange end to it. Like it would have been better, I think, to end on Porky, but they're trying to get a point across and they're talking about the 20s and 30s. So,
I think his main theme was like history repeating itself, like a lot of stuff happening back then is happening today.
No, I would agree with that. I mean, you're coming off of, early 19-teens. You had a pandemic, and then, stuff does repeat itself, and especially with big events like that. Because the two weren't dissimilar as far as the kind of pandemics that they had. So, given that, I mean, that's a whole other discussion for another day. But yeah, definitely, shorts were interesting. The pieces were wacky as hell. There was a few others, but I think we covered the main ones worth noting. So
yeah, my favorite was the Porky and Wacky Land, and the main thing that is most memorable is the end. Yeah, because it just kept. I was ready for it to be done. Like I was hoping the Porky and Wacky Land was the grand finale, but then I remembered, oh wait, he said it was going to get dark at the end. This isn't dark yet.
Yeah, definitely. It got dark. Yeah, well, and with the 20s and 30s, there's a lot of things you could talk about getting dark. But for dark stuff of the 20s and 30s on a world stage, it doesn't get much darker than the buildup of that specific group of people. So, but yeah, I think of the two, the after school special was a lot more.
It was a lot more fun.
Yeah, it had more to offer. And the music stuff, the Speakeasy special was quite a lot of music, which made sense given everything. Oh, that was one other piece that was in there. They had a restaurant, like a fancy restaurant set up, and everybody was on skates.
Yeah, that was interesting. I wondered if that was a thing they were doing for the short or if that was an actual place. Because I'd never seen something like that before.
It looked like a studio set up. My assumption is that's probably what it was. But
yeah, I kind of figured like it was set up like a musical, but a short.
Yeah, exactly. I did have to laugh because there was a couple of shots where you saw like high heels with like skates attached to them.
Oh, I missed that.
And the main guy who was the feature playing the piano also had skates on in addition to trying to play the piano. So
yeah.
So yeah, I think of the two, the After School Special just had a more variety. And again, the music in the Speakeasy piece was great, but it kind of got to be a little long with how many of those you had. But the guys that put it together know their stuff. They know a good chunk of their audience. So yeah, anytime you have a sing along in a piece, you're never gonna go wrong in my book.
Yeah, all in all, it was a unique, interesting day.
Absolutely. So you mentioned Seance being your possible favorite. Does that hold true for you for the day?
I think so.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it was the strongest piece overall.
Like the Last Hounds was very good too. But like if I'm thinking back as to what I would like want to rewatch first, probably Seance.
I agree. And I think just the tone of any documentary that's going to talk about something that is sad, you know, you kind of you're glad that you watched it. It's important that it get out there and people see it because it is a thing that happened, and you know, that stuff affecting relatively small towns and a whole industry of people is worth talking about.
Yeah. Even
if you don't agree with what it is, it's good to be able to see multiple sides, and it's just a well put together piece.
Yeah.
But yeah, of the stuff, I think, Seance was definitely hooked me more.
Yeah, me too.
So.
Okay, well, that was Friday. I don't know what day it is anymore.
No, it's okay. It's Friday. So yeah, it was a full day of stuff, and it's well past midnight. So technically, we're on Saturday.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we'll be back later today, I guess, to talk about what we see after we wake up.
Yeah, exactly. We'll talk to you later.
Okay, day 3.
Yes, JDIFF day 3. Ha 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 ha.
We had some good ones today.
Yeah. I mean, that's one thing about JDIFF, and I didn't realize this. They start with well over 1,000 entries, and they get it down to something like 150. And that's both shorts and features and documentaries, and basically whatever they show is like that 150 is encompassing of all that. So, But yeah, I mean, I don't think there's anything. There were some things that could have used was maybe some editing or scripting, but I mean that's movies generally. But yeah, overall everything was like the level of good with everything that we've seen.
Even the stuff I didn't like was still good.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Like and I guess the thing about a film fest is, unless it's meant to be a schlocky, your baseline even for average is a lot higher than what you would get for a lot of things. I guess I would say. But yeah, first thing up was one called Call Me Dancer.
And that might be my new favorite one so far.
Oh, it was incredible. Like just the dedication that it took to put it together.
Yeah, it took them years to make because they were following this kid who like grew up really poor in India and had many setbacks over the years. They didn't even know if the film was going to be finished. Went through the pandemic. They thought that was going to end the thing. The kid got an injury. They thought that was going to end it. It was a really good movie.
Well, and even the direction, the Q&A afterwards, I think it was the producer that was here, was talking about how initially it was going to focus on was originally going to focus on the ballet teacher that was from the States, or he was from Israel, had been a famous dancer in the States, and then had gone to Mumbai to be a ballet instructor, like a really high-end ballet instructor. And then it had shifted to these two students that had come into the program that were just like prodigy level good. Yeah. And then the one ended up joining the London, I think,
the Royal Ballet.
Yeah, the Royal Ballet in London. And then the other one, it became his story basically.
Yeah. The one who was basically trying to find a job and more training through the whole thing.
Yeah. And it was cool because it didn't just focus on his journey. It was talking about kind of the not requirements, but the point that a lot of like Indian parents take care of their kids to a certain age. They put them through school, and then it's the kids' job to take care of the parents after that so they can retire and live life, basically. Which was fascinating. Like the things that I learned about Indian culture, and not that it focuses directly on that, but you do get those moments, and it's incredible. It really was interesting.
It's there in the background, adding another layer to the movie.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a multifaceted movie, and nothing was dramatic. It was very straightforward in its approach, but it was well shot. a lot of it was shot on iPhone. We ran across a lot of iPhone-based stuff throughout the couple of days.
iPhones have been getting better and better cameras.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not that I do a lot of video on my channel, but I've shot some on iPhone, and it looks better than when I had used to try and shoot with an actual camera.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and it's easier to shoot with, and as long as you have something, a gimbal or something to stabilize, you're in good shape. Audio is a different story, but that's true of any kind of setup like that. But no. And the award ceremony is actually going on or finishing up as we're talking.
We saw the red carpet as we were leaving the building.
Yeah, there was a line of people ready for their 15 seconds of fame. But I wouldn't be surprised if Call Me Dancer came home with the popular vote.
It could.
Yeah.
Like you were saying yesterday, you thought that the Last Hounds might get it, but Call Me Dancer was... Yeah. It was really good.
Depending upon how the crowd goes, if it's more of a local crowd, I could be completely off base. We didn't see everything, but given popular opinions of people that we talked to, and just the crowds and stuff, there was a lot of love for Call Me Dancer, a lot of local love for The Last Hounds, and I could be out of left field. I could be completely wrong, and if I am wrong, I would say I would eat my shoe, but I'm not going to do that because I don't have that much faith in my decision-making process. So, but anyway, the kid he was just an interesting and really sweet guy.
Yeah.
Like, you wanted him to do well. He just had that. Everyone in the story, there wasn't like the buildup of like a bad guy. It was just a really straightforward tale of a guy that he had the drive and the want to be something more.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it was really good.
I mean, there was even a Netflix movie based off of his life.
Yeah, we'll have to look into that one.
Yeah,
that'd be interesting to watch too. He played himself in that. Yeah. Apparently, that came out a few years ago.
Yeah, absolutely. I think before the pandemic. But yeah, they spent I think 6 or 7 years filming. Yeah. On and off. Yeah. But yeah, if you get the chance, I think it's already on some platforms, and it's supposed to be coming to others. PBS included, I think, their world.
Oh, that's PBS. Right. Yeah, she said that it was picked up by PBS for their World channel, because PBS has like PBS like split off like the way the network TV works has changed since I was a kid, because each channel has sub channels now. Yeah, which I didn't even I hardly watch TV. But I flipped on the TV one time and I was like, where'd all these extra channels come from? Yeah, it's really weird, and there's such a random selection. But PBS has some extra ones, and their World channel, I guess, picked up Call Me Dancer. So right. And at some point they'll play it. Whether it's out or not yet, I think they're still just focusing on the film fest circuit. Yeah. And then they'll go from there. So yeah. But yeah, if you like documentaries or dance, definitely look into Call Me Dancer. I mean, I would agree with that, but I think just generally, if you just want a really good inspirational story, it definitely and it's not played up. It's said very straightforwardly, but it is, through the ups and downs, he stays relatively positive, which, given everything he went through, it would be easy to. I kind of thought it was going to get more depressing with all the stuff he had to go through. Yeah, well, and even the requirement as, a kid, like a lot of his decisions were built around family and the requirements of a son to be there for your parents and to make those decisions just based on tradition. Yeah. But he managed, and obviously you're kind of glossing over a lot of stuff, but the decisions to make or to go where you need to go and do what you need to do and do the right thing by both yourself and your family. He made decisions that were smart, and he found balance, which isn't easy. Yeah. Especially when you're a young person. Yeah. So, but yeah, impressive across the board. Yeah. But next up was... The Ramba effect. Yes, the Ramba effect. That was following an elephant as it was rescued, I think, from a circus in Chile. I think it was a 7-year journey. And the story, as the documentary picks up, is as they're getting ready to take Ramba from like a safari park. So the Ramba had been let go from the circus because she had liver failure, I think. They brought her to this... Might have been kidney failure. Or kidney failure, Not that it matters, but it might have been kidney failure. You're right, I think it was kidney failure. But she had diagnosed with kidney failure. She was supposed to be temporarily at this safari park, and it ended up being 7 years to get through all the paperwork and permits and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. So they finally got it figured, they got everything lined up, and the bulk of the
the bulk of the documentary was the process of the 6 days to get her from Chile to Brazil, where there is an elephant sanctuary that's run by some people from Tennessee. But it was a fascinating story. They kind of talk about the history of elephants in circuses and zoos. It was quite eye-opening, really. Mm-hmm. How captivity is both good and bad, and I think that's true of anything. And we were kind of talking, not that it's different sides of the argument, but you do kind of get some juxtaposition between The Last Hounds and this.
A little bit. Like,
not a ton, but just kind of similar. Not the same kind of scenarios, but kind of, I guess...
I think it's similar but different in that with greyhound racing, they are bred to race. Like it's in their genes. Like that's what they want to do when they are born. But with the elephants, they're like captured from the wild as babies, and it kind of like breaks them inside.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
So it's like it's similar in that it's an animal being used for entertainment, but it's different in that it takes a massive toll on the elephant psyche because they're like extremely smart. Like, they're one of the smartest animals on Earth.
And they're very family and socially oriented too. So to not have that, it breaks your heart. Just like there's a lot of close-ups of Ramba's eyes, and your heart breaks because of what that poor animal's been through.
Yeah.
Even if it's treated well at a circus, it's still, everything that they are, they're. To get them to do what's needed, they're oftentimes beaten, and they don't really go in depth on that. Which, I mean, the story is one of help, not hurt, or not documenting the hurts, but more.
There is a old footage of a really awful situation with an elephant. So. Yeah. Like this is not like a light watch.
No.
This is a heavy documentary.
It is.
It ends on kind of a hopeful note, but it's very bittersweet all throughout. It's hard to watch sometimes, but it was very well done.
Absolutely. And
another iPhone one.
Yes, absolutely so. And again, like beautifully shot across the board.
And it was her first movie, she said.
Yeah, it was. I mean, and that was actually the case with a lot of the things that we've seen. It was first or second features across the board for a good chunk of what we saw.
But it was so well done.
Yeah, it was.
You would never know it was the first thing she'd ever done.
Yeah, no, it was fantastic. Just incredible. Like the way that it's the interviews and the footage and the story they told. Like there were very few dry eyes in that house. And it was a relatively full room.
It even got me to tear up, like actual tears. Like that. I'm not a crier at movies, but both this and Call Me Dancer made me mist over, but this one got an actual tear. So
yeah. Well, and just your heart breaks for this poor creature that just... one of the things that they talked about was imagine taking a human and locking them in their bathroom.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what from their descriptions, what you would get in like a zoo setting or like a circus setting, especially.
I think they're basing that off the fact that elephants roam very wide.
Yeah.
And like the amount of space in a zoo, even if you think it's big, it's basically the size of a bathroom for them.
Absolutely. Yeah. Compared to what they're used to and the lack of companionship and the inability, obviously, the inability to talk or emote in a way that people can tell. But no, it was incredibly well put together. Another must watch. I know they were talking distribution. I think that the focus was on...
I don't remember if she said it was picked up by anywhere. I think they're probably just doing festivals right now.
Yeah. I think that's probably smart. So this one, I don't think this was a world premiere, but it was maybe an Iowa premiere.
I think so. I'm not sure.
But either way, yeah. Again, with documentaries, if it's something that interests you like John said, it's not a simple watch, but it is well worth it. If nothing else, just to inform yourself about, the places things have been. Because I know a lot of people will talk about how, circuses, sad to see circuses go. It's, there's a loss and all of these different pieces. But there are reasons that a lot of these things have changed and evolved and, say what you will, but there is some basis for a lot of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, on next, we did 2 short blocks in the afternoon. The first one was heavily science fiction and a little horror-based, I'd say.
Some of them were, yeah.
So the first one up, there were, I believe, 7 total or 6 total.
There were several. I kept thinking we were at the last one, and then another one would start.
First one we have up was called Anwar. Was basically the story of, well, it kind of talked about a possible future scenario where a person can choose to live forever by its implied becoming either robotic, like having your consciousness dropped into a robot, or something along those lines. Not necessarily cloned.
That's what it was. I wasn't 100% sure. They didn't go really into specifics.
Well, and it was a...
It kind of reminded me of Mickey 17, but in a much more dramatic, non-funny way.
Absolutely.
It asked questions that I thought Mickey 17 was going to ask, and Mickey 17 didn't touch it at all. Which is fine. I don't think it needed to, but I kept thinking about those things as I was watching it. But this kind of asked those questions.
It did. So we follow, or you can choose to live a normal life. So we pick up Anwar, who starts at age 8 with his mom, and they're kind of talking over the idea of heaven, or what comes after death, whether it's heaven, whether it's nothing. To his mom, it's nothing, but she's also going to live as long as the earth exists, basically, is her way of stating it.
And his dad had died.
Yes.
And she wants him to live forever now.
Exactly. Which, I mean, from a parental perspective, that's not an outside-the-box thing to ask, or to hope for. We then go to right before Anwar turns 18, and when he turns 18, he is able to make the decision for himself, but his mom wants him to choose to become a robot, or whatever
Whatever the technology is.
Yes,
she wants him to live forever, and she wants it to be his decision.
Exactly.
But he doesn't want to make the decision yet.
Right, and until he turns 18, she can force him, but so he runs away. So then we go to when he's 80 and on his way out, and he asks to be transformed, but then he decides that he wants to find out what's next on his own, and that's kind of where it ends. Not happy, but for him, he got to choose and live his life accordingly.
Yeah.
So the next one up is called La Ambición de Marie, which is a Spanish language film talking about a chess champion. It's kind of, it was interesting, but it was confusing. Yeah, no, agreed.
It was very well shot. That's like my highest praise for it. It looked very nice.
Oh yeah, no, fantastic looking, and it kind of played with some future themes, but not a ton,
and not in a way that like fully made sense to me.
Yeah,
like for this one, the technology was just weird and confusing. Like it wasn't a technology that.
It wasn't even really a technology thing. I mean, it was sort of a technology thing. The knowledge base.
Maybe it was like a drug thing, because they were talking about like performance enhancing. The way that it seemed like they were going was like people, and maybe anybody, but like specifically this woman who is a chess master or wanted to be, got like a tattoo on her brain that made her better.
I think that what they were aiming for was there's no way to enhance the mind's performance consistently. Like doping is very hard for something like chess. But there was something that they had discovered where tattooing a certain area of the brain stimulated the brain to be able to think on a different level. Basically was what I got out of it.
Maybe.
But it got weird though, because like the devil becomes involved. Like she signs her soul off to the devil because she has a very high level of ambition to become the best. And she beats the same guy multiple times.
I think he was beating her.
Well, yeah, he beats her, and then she comes back and beats him.
Oh, okay.
With a couple of different.
I was confused about.
Yeah,
things.
No, I think we're on the same page as far as like it was a very well put together story, but it was very confusing.
The towards the end, it's like it seemed like she committed suicide, but then this tattoo artist comes back and she's like, it looks like she's tattooing the air above her body, and then she wakes up, and it was supposed to be like she got a tattoo on her soul, and it revived her somehow. I don't know. And is she dead? Is she alive? There was Polaroids that she which
showed.
We don't see, so we don't know what it was.
Yeah, there were Polaroids that she shows the devil, and basically it seems like she's bribed him, like not bribed him, but like done something. She beat him. So yeah, exactly. There was no golden fiddle though, so we don't really know.
Yeah, I don't know. I was confused by it.
But yeah, beautifully shot. The set design was fantastic. I'm sure it was probably shot in some really cool hotel.
Yeah, it looked great.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I just didn't understand the story.
Yeah, and whether that's us or whether that's them, we're not 100% sure. But next one up is called Marina. The idea is that there's a woman who is taking care of her father who has dementia in an older house, and there's leaks all over the place coming through the ceiling from the second floor down to the first floor. And
it seems like there could be potentially something supernatural with the leaks because like there's also fish and maybe seaweed coming in through the cracks.
Yeah. And her father, I believe, like the way he talked, he made some reference to the sea, like accepting the sea. Now, whether that is like metaphorically, whether he was like a boat captain or someone in the Navy, because there was a teddy bear that had like a life vest on. And I initially, before it ended, I kind of assumed that it was kind of a metaphor for like being overwhelmed by trying to take care of her father. But then the way the last 5 minutes go, it doesn't really follow. It kind of goes in the opposite direction.
Yeah, they like get swallowed up by the sea.
Yeah.
And she's like it was really well shot. She's like taking care of him under the water and
yeah,
they're like lying in bed having Klondike bars.
Yeah, there was a weird thing with Klondike bars. She's got like a broken hand or a sprained wrist or something. It was another one that was... It probably made sense if you had someone there to kind of explain it. And again, I don't know if it was us or just something that was lost in translation.
I think this one was more metaphor than anything, and maybe it was done that way purposely to leave it up to interpretation.
Possibly. I don't know. Like it was really well shot. And again, like John said, the last 5 minutes was fascinating. Whether they filmed it under like in a pool or, you know, they did something CGI based or what. The director wasn't there, which would have been cool to have because we had a lot of questions. Yeah. The next one up is called Nap. And basically you have 4 people that are taking part in some kind of an experiment where all they have to do is go to sleep. They have to be asleep at 4:30 in the morning, and if they're not asleep, they'll basically be exploded.
I think they were talking about like microwaves.
Yeah,
they would be microwaved to death, but if they were asleep, they would be saved from the microwaves, which scientifically makes 0 sense.
Yeah, I think of these, it's probably the most... It's very kind of sci-fi horror. Like there was a lot of sci-fi, but this was very sci-fi horror.
Yeah.
It got a little strange quickly, but the story kind of follows the one guy that can't go to sleep, and there's about 10 minutes before he has to be asleep to save his life, so he runs himself into a wall, gives himself a concussion, and then you find out that when he fell and hit the ground, he apparently woke up everybody else, and they all basically fried.
Yeah.
So R.I.P. to them. They seemed like really nice people. You see different variations on this, and from a horror perspective, I really enjoyed it. Like, it was a very tight story. It was well told. It was interesting. And you kind of even get like this you don't see a lot of them, but you do get like this sleazy kind of corporate guy.
The way he was talking, he was like Thanos if Thanos was a weirdo.
Yeah, well, Thanos
because like he was talking like he wanted to do this to the entire world for some reason.
Yeah, and I don't remember them saying why they wanted to do it, but their plan was to experiment with these folks and then, you know, go out and do it to everybody. So if you have problems falling asleep, make sure that you're asleep at 4:30 in the morning from here on out, I guess, is the message there.
R.I.P. night shift hotel workers.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd have been dead a few years ago.
Yeah, no. Well, and considering my sleep schedule, yeah, that would have been pretty well out of luck as well. The next one up is another kind of, I think maybe you understood this better than I did, pulpitum.
I don't know that I understood. This one also confused me. I'm not sure exactly what was going on. It was some type of, part of it reminded me of Stranger Things, specifically when she's like in the water, like looking for someone. But it wasn't all like that. There was also this cult, and I don't really know what the cult was doing. I was confused. There was another one that confused me.
I was too. I kind of got Matrix vibes, just the way that they were in one world, but then by going into
maybe
the
I'm
water...
thinking of the OA. I think it also reminded me of the OA, because I think there's a scene where she's like looking for somebody in water.
Yeah, no, she's looking for her sister. Like, that's kind of in the background throughout. She's looking for her sister. And I think she goes, whatever the difference is between the two worlds, if it's like interior versus exterior, or maybe it's a different part of the planet, her goal is to find her sister. But at one point she's got her head in water, and she has all the like the leads to her brain activity and stuff on, and she can't concentrate well enough or something. Mm-hmm. But there's an evil cryptic cult. Like, again, well shot. Set design was great. The acting was pretty solid in my book. Like, you get like a real sinister feel from the entire thing.
Yeah.
I think having someone there to explain it would have been good.
Yeah.
But again, they're shorts. What are you going to do? The next one up is Terra Luna, which was your favorite.
Yeah. This one felt like at the beginning to a movie. And they even said they had more ideas for more.
Yeah.
But it was basically this woman who was like living on a moon base, trying experiments to see if they could terraform the moon. Mm-hmm. And there's like a little robot that's with her. It's implied that maybe this isn't even happening. Like, maybe she is in some type of simulation. Like, it's not completely clear, but it was done in such a way that I didn't care that it was clear, and I also wanted more.
Yes.
This one was also kind of funny.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Which that's always going to make something better for me, especially with some of these that were dark.
Oh, yeah. There was a lot of heavy in this. Like, sci-fi heavy, not really, like the Roomba effect heavy.
Yeah.
But, no, I agree. It felt like kind of not a teaser trailer for what could have been, but it kind of was.
It felt like somebody did a short film as kind of like a test for a full film.
Yeah.
Like maybe a test pilot, but for a movie instead of a TV show.
Yeah. And the directors for this were there, and they had quite a good Q&A. Unfortunately, we were way at the back, and the guy was incredibly soft-spoken. But no, it was just the things that they ran into while trying to do this little bit, because it was all green screen. It was good green screen, not bad.
Yeah.
But
and
no,
they had stuff on set that she could interact with.
Yeah.
So the robot was actually real.
Yes.
Something that they were programming to interact with her.
And he was really cute.
Yeah. Just a little one-eyed. Like, if you know what a gorilla pod is, it's like a tripod, but and this was like one of the legs of a gorilla pod, but with a big eye on the end. But the eye is kind of cute.
Yeah.
Like a cute robot eye.
It'd be like if Hal from 2001: A Space Odyssey wasn't a megalomaniac level crazy guy. So the last one is the Lethe, which was essentially 3 college students kind of program this thing that can rewrite the way your memory works. And they practice on one person, and they find that they can do it. They take it to their professor, and they can either turn it as an assignment to get credit, but then lose the intellectual property rights to it because it would belong to the college, or not turn it in and monetize it themselves, which the technology was cutting edge. It could change lives for a lot of people. One of them was dependent on a good grade in this class, and the other one wants to go full monetization, and the other one in the middle is kind of, she doesn't want to do it, but she's not going to stand up as strongly.
Yeah.
And things go south. And this was my personal favorite. The way that it's played is very good. It's a relatively small concept, but it worked on multiple levels, and the ending is relatively dark, but I thought it was very well done.
The whole thing was very well done. I prefer movies where good wins.
No, I
good
100%.
did not win in this one.
No, not remotely. And it ends with a very smirky grin.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very enjoyable.
But as a short, it was very well done.
Yeah, it told a complete story in a relatively short amount of time and was very, very well done. Yeah. So,
and not confusing at all, like some of the ones that had come before it.
Yeah, no, I agreed. Of them, it's probably the most straightforward, kind of like classic kind of horror sci-fi thing.
Yeah.
Science gone wrong, I suppose, for lack of a better term.
Depends on who you ask. It went right for somebody in the short.
All right, the last thing that we saw was actually a block of shorts that were done by young filmmakers. So ideally speaking, people under the age of 18, Although the one studio that kind of submitted a fair amount of them worked with people up to age 25.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically it was under 18s for the most part. And 4th and 5th graders all the way up to high school students.
Yeah.
So it's pretty incredible what we saw. The first one up is called Broken Reflection, which it almost felt a little bit ghost or paranormal-esque, but it turns out that it's more kind of memory-based.
Yeah.
This young lady sees reflections of her, reflections of a gentleman in multiple surfaces, and it turns out that it was an abusive boyfriend, we think.
Yeah.
Or partner of some sort. But at the end, there's a whole bunch of mirrors, and she sees his reflection, and then she relives all of these moments where he was quite abusive. She picks up one mirror that has fallen, and it's cracked, and it seems like she's able to be free of all of the issues, I think.
Maybe.
I think.
It wasn't exactly clear, but, like, I didn't mind that it wasn't clear.
Yeah.
It wasn't confusing like the others were. Like, this is one where I think that the point is to think about it.
Yes.
Whereas the other ones, I think it needed a rewrite or two.
Yeah, just a little bit. Well, and again, you're working with, and not to say that under 18s can't tell a full story, because this was.
For something done by probably kids, it was very well done.
Oh, yeah, definitely so. I mean, it dealt with
Sound design.
Oh.
Sound design was great. It was very quiet for a while, and then there was a whistling tea kettle that just kept getting louder and louder and louder.
Yeah. And it kind of, at one point, when they get to scenes of previous abuse, the actual arguments are muffled. Mm-hmm. And then, like John said, the tea kettle gets louder and louder as it goes. The idea of the mirrors and such is always a good metaphor, like whether it's a reflection thing, whether you're, like, the broken reflection is always a good one. It's solid across the board. I think it was probably the most professional of the ones that we saw, I would say.
Probably.
The way it was shot, because it was well shot too. Like, it was incredibly well shot. They worked with reflections. They worked with different elements like that were consistent and very well done. So,
yeah, because it was the one that felt more like a traditional short film. Because after this, you could tell they were made by kids, not in a bad way. Like, I enjoyed that you could tell that they were made by kids.
Oh yeah. And even as being made by kids, there was one that was kind of not as strong, but you're not going to call those out because it was actually the kids for the most part doing every single part of them.
Yeah. They talked afterwards, like they have a camp.
Yes.
Where the kids come and do different shorts in different amounts of time. And,
absolutely so.
Yeah.
So the next several were done by, like John mentioned, it's a studio called MBM Studios. They seem to be like a casting agency or like a talent agency, as well as providing, so there's two branches. One is casting and one is studio-based. So they do, like John said, camps, like week-long camps where kids can come in. They basically do the entire process, start to finish. They learn about movie making, and the results have actually shown up at the JDIFF Film Fest quite a few times over. And the rest of them have appeared in multiple years worth. So, first one up is called Holiday Seasoning, and this thing was a freaking hoot. Oh my god. If you think about, like, Breakfast Club, but gone incredibly wrong. You've got 4 different kids, all of them very different in their approaches. You've got, like, a jock, you've got a kid that's very religious, you've got kind of a gothic kind of kid, and then you have, like, an Instagram person specifically. And it starts on Halloween, where the teacher basically says, oh, look, it's time for me to retire. See you later. And apparently locks the door and leaves.
They're in detention.
Yes, they're in detention. And it's, they're talking about not being able to get out, and then all of a sudden it's Thanksgiving, and they're finishing up on what's left of their candy, and then they go to Christmas. And throughout all this time, they're decorating and doing other stuff in addition to dealing with the fact that they've been locked in detention, and they can't seem to get out.
Just don't question why nobody's searching for them, why they haven't died of malnutrition, why they don't have a bathroom.
Well, I mean, the reason they don't die of malnutrition is because they start to off one another.
I mean, somebody I feel like would have died before Christmas.
You would think, but sugar these days is different than sugar was back in the day, It has longer lasting effects apparently. Maybe they ate the bucket. I mean, we do see less Halloween and Christmas decorations. Maybe they got onto eating the garland at one point or another. But they off one person, and then that person comes back as a ghost, and as it goes along, more of them die, and it's very morbid, but it's also very, very funny.
It was like a horror comedy, so
yeah.
it's not like disturbing.
No, absolutely not. It is as light as horror of that respect can be. But no, it was adorable. I really enjoyed it. It was relatively well shot. They pulled in a lot of stuff. They were working in a very small room.
Yeah.
They played the classic comedic bits very well, where they can't open the doors, but they're pushing the doors instead of pulling them. It's cute.
Yeah.
So, the next short up is called The Hawthorne Horror, and I think this one was probably either tied for my favorite or shortly or just a tiny bit below my favorite.
Yeah. This one was ridiculous in the best way.
Oh, yeah. And I think it had, like, on camera, it had the youngest kids, too.
Yeah, I think so. But they were all kids who could act in a way that is ridiculous. Like, they're not, like, believable as the characters they're playing.
No.
But they're believable as kids putting on a play and just really selling their parts.
Oh, 100%. And just some of there's a kid that's a cowboy, and they're all influencers.
The ridiculous influencers. The cowboy, I think, was my favorite.
Not a cowboy, a cowman. And don't call them ponies. They're horses. Then there was kind of a rapper type kid, kind of an Eminem type of rapper, and then there's an interior design child.
Yes.
But it almost sets up a little like Clue, a little like House on Haunted Hill. There's a little old lady who is
also a child in a wig.
Yeah, a terrible wig. And her butler. You can't forget the butler.
A terrible wig hiding a terrible bald cap.
Yes. Which there is reason for. I think my favorite though was the butler. Like just the everyone arrives and the interior designer and the butler get into placement of a bottle.
Their back and forth was ridiculous.
Oh, it was fantastic.
Ridiculous in the good way. Like sometimes with the repeated gag like that, it can get old, but they did it in such a way that it did not get old. And they went back to it a couple times and it was still funny.
Yeah. And at one point, the bottle, obviously a breakaway bottle, but is broken on the back of the poor butler kid's head. Oh, my goodness. And then all that they had to do to be able to win prizes, and I don't think prizes was ever... I guess it was.
It was like her estate. Like she was going to die of whatever disease made her bald. I don't remember what they said it was. I think it was a made-up disease.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And then she was leaving. Whoever could look into her vase the longest would get her mansion and fortune and her cat.
Yes, her cats, which she had apparently several, only we ever see one, but not the point. And every single one of them looks into the vase and they are absolutely disgusted by what they see. We never find out.
We don't know what it is.
Which is probably good. I'm happy to not find out. But then it turns out she pulls a Scooby-Doo and takes off the wig, takes off the bald cap, and she's like, ha-ha! And these poor kids are sitting there like... We're not the same since, and the poor interior design kid ends up...
She's living behind a dumpster.
Yes, but it's a well-appointed dumpster because she knows how to decorate.
The whole thing was ridiculous, but it was very funny.
Oh, yeah.
Like for some of this, I was like, a kid wrote this? But they did.
Oh, yeah. And you can tell, like...
Some of it you can tell a kid wrote it, but in a good way.
Yeah, no, it absolutely is. It's take the most creative child that you know and can write in a relatively linear fashion. Uh-huh. And it works. It's adorable. It's so fun and it's charming in a goofy, slapsticky way.
Yeah.
The next one up is called The Audition, which basically there's a whole bunch of people waiting to audition for a part. There's a couple that are fighting. Our main character is very nervous about going in for the audition, and she's kind of her spirits are lifted by another kid that comes in to kind of talk her through it. She ends up getting the part, and the person that's the casting director is also, I think, No, it's not her in a wig.
I wasn't sure.
I couldn't tell. It kind of looked like her, and it was kind of like that, haha, funny bit. But it was cute. It had some moments. I think it wasn't quite as strong.
This one is the one that felt most like just a kid did it, and a kid had fun making it.
Absolutely, and that's
There wasn't anything that surprised me like, wow, I can't believe a kid did this. It was like, a kid did this, and they did a good job.
They did. They absolutely did. And you could tell that there was a lot of love and time put into it.
Yeah.
They did some great shots. There was a lot of moving parts with it. So they managed to do quite a few different scenarios. It worked well.
Yeah.
So the last one that we have is called Mistletoe Dart, which is based off of a Norse myth.
Yeah.
So there's an art teacher that brings video or submits films every single year for the past 8 years, I believe.
That's what he said.
Yeah. But it's 4th and 5th graders as part of their art or their second semester art class.
So they work on this for months.
Yeah. So an entire semester.
Yeah.
It seems. And the 4th graders handle certain aspects like background design, storyboarding, things like that, and then the 5th graders take care of other aspects of it. But it's all this time, and I don't know if it was an across the board thing or if that was just this year, but it's stop motion.
Yeah.
And
very well done.
Oh my goodness. Stop motion is not simple to start with, but they vote on what they want to cover, and they picked this Norse myth. It's storyboarded by them. Its lines are written by them. Every single background piece is done by them, like the whole process.
Voices are done by them. And then he said he sends the film off to the music department, and the kids write the music too.
Yeah, it is a fantastically cool experience.
Yeah.
And we talked to a lady afterwards who's been doing the film fest for quite a few years. And I think her own kids were involved in it at one point or another. But she was talking about how every year it progresses and it becomes better and better and better.
Yeah, she was saying, like, she thinks, like, it's always different kids, but she thinks that the teacher is getting better on how he does the class.
Oh, 100%.
And it shows in every film that is submitted.
Yeah, and every part of it was it was charming and funny.
Yeah,
and
it was very funny.
Oh, yeah. And, like, every part of it is just, I wish there was a way to see this. Like, of all of these shorts, I wish there was a way to see this one. Because it was, to see it and without context, you would say, okay, kids voiced it, that's cute. But every part of this was done by kids.
Yeah.
They all brought their different art styles to the characters. And there's multiple characters on screen at the same time doing multiple things. So it's not like you're moving one thing. And even with the characters, they had different mouths for them.
Yeah.
And they could actually, one of their lessons was learning the different ways you could do mouth animation. One was having multiple different mouths that you replaced. One was kind of doing like a Pac-Man type mouth. And the third one was like a South Park where the whole head moves. Mm-hmm. And the kids learned how to do those aspects, and then they could choose how they wanted their characters to speak. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's just, I was blown away.
I think the funniest part to me was like not part of the movie itself, but it was interrupted by a skippable ad.
Oh yeah.
And I was thinking to myself, did a kid do this, or was this like something that an adult thought of and suggested the kids? No, a kid thought of this by themselves, and then they apparently had a whole discussion on what the ad was going to be.
Oh yeah,
it was like an insurance ad, but like ridiculous from a kid's point of view.
Absolutely, and it was the funniest part of it, but it was sort of meant to be because the rest of the story was kind of built around a previous myth, so you can make it funny. But yeah, I mean, just everything about it. There was not one bad piece of this. It was incredible.
Yeah.
And adults doing it wouldn't have been able to do as well.
No.
In the amount of time that they had to do it.
Yeah.
Like, it was incredible. It was so well done.
Yeah.
Like, kudos to this art teacher to look outside the box and to do something so unique.
Yeah. I'm so glad that was the one we ended with, because that was like the perfect way to end the night.
Oh, yeah.
It was the best. It was so funny.
It was awesome. He was actually there to kind of give the input. Yeah. Both him and a couple of people from MBM Studios was there as well. So. Yeah. But no, there wasn't a bad thing. And to see young people getting involved in that, obviously you have to have them involved. That way, it kind of gets them interested, and they're going into high school and beyond prepared to be able to do these things.
He said that one of his first students is already going into animation.
Yeah. And that ignites a fire under them to be able to try something that is so, it's something that will serve them as they go along.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, absolutely. And that's kind of our day. It was a full day, no doubt.
It's very full.
Yeah. So, I don't know. So of everything that we've seen so far, I know we've talked about it a little bit, but what was your favorite piece today? Short or feature?
They're so different. I suppose maybe Call Me Dancer, but Mistletoe Dart was very good.
Yeah.
It's hard to pick because they're so completely different, but those two are probably my two favorites.
I would agree. There were a couple of the sci-fi ones that I found really interesting and enjoyable, but as far as quality across the board, definitely Mistletoe Dart and Call Me Dancer were just fantastic.
Yeah.
So I think that's it for today, I think.
Yeah, well, that's what we watched.
Yes.
A lot of stuff.
Yeah. Well, and I think, too, just because we had those two short blocks, there is a lot more to report on, a lot more diversity in what we saw.
Yeah. But it was a solid day, a good day.
Very much.
Well, we have one more day left. We have a short block tomorrow before I have to head home. So I guess we'll report back when we
we'll see
those.
And we'll see if I was right or wrong on the popular vote.
Yes,
at the awards
Find
tonight.
Out who won.
Oh, and we didn't do the red carpet just because we weren't really dressed for it. We didn't want to show up everybody else by appearing in our fanciest clothes.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, well, we'll see you tomorrow.
That is correct.
Our last day.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's gone so fast.
Yes, very fast.
Oof. But I think we ended on a pretty solid thing.
Yeah, today was a good day.
It was. First thing we watched was called Heart of Stone.
Yes. And I liked this one until the end.
Yeah. So basic story was there's a woman who does the living statue thing, does it very well.
Yeah, when she first showed up on screen, I was looking at her like, okay, I know this is about a statue. Is this like one of those people who does a living statue, or is it supposed to be a literal living statue?
It was both?
It was. And the woman at the beginning was the person playing a living statue, like somebody who poses in the park with tourists. But she did it very well.
She did. And she also was a person living as a statue. She was very to herself, not really taking part in the world, more watching it pass her by when she wasn't dressed as a statue. So, but there is a lovely statue in the park that she constantly sketches and interacts with, and I guess sort of falls in love with.
I think so.
So then the statue is removed they were changing out some of the exhibitions, and she gets very upset at this, and she kisses the statue, and then statue comes to life, and they dance and have an extended moment, and then at the very end, they become a statue together.
Yeah. Which I liked everything that they were doing, like talking and then the dance. Like everything was really well done.
It was lovely. And
very
pretty.
well shot too.
Yeah.
Like the whole thing looked really good. And I really liked when the statue came to life, the sound design, the scraping of stone, and then I think it was probably like CGI dust trickling off the statue as she like started to move.
That's kind of what I was thinking too. So.
It was really well done. It was really cool.
Yeah. Well, and even saw her fingers, like there was a split second, probably a jump cut between the statue's fingers and her her fingers kind of breaking loose from it. But the effects were very well done. And it was, I think it had funding from the Belgian government. There were several funders of it, I would say on an European Union level. So. Yeah.
And it was very well done. It looked great. It felt like a feature. But I didn't love the end. I think I would have preferred it to have been a dream. Because, I don't really know what they were going for with having them, fuse together and become a statue together. My
assumption is earlier in the short, the live woman asks the statue, what is it like to be... how do you see the world? And basically the statue says, there are moments where we see people that pass us by, but by and large, we're in the moment that we're created. So she was made to be kind of a lonely girl waiting for her lover, and them fusing together was a moment of love between the two of them. So that was kind of going to be their eternal moment, was this moment of exhilaration in that kiss. So that's my assumption.
That makes sense.
That was my takeaway from it. I could be wrong, but...
That's probably correct. I think I would have preferred it if the living woman had stayed living instead of becoming a statue.
Yeah, interacting with the world instead of retreating from it. But
yeah.
Like any story of this nature, it does something very abstract, and that's kind of where it starts and stops, I guess. So
yeah.
The next one up was called Watching Walter. It was a based on true story, or based on true events, I guess.
Yeah, it was about a Holocaust survivor who became a watchmaker because while he was in the concentration camp, he was forced to help this guy repair watches for the Nazis. And this was a real thing that happened. This is a real person. So this is based on his life. And it was very well done. I liked this one, but it was heavier. I don't tend to love the heavy ones, so this wasn't like a favorite, but it was a very well done short. I recognized the main guy, but I don't remember why I recognized him. He must have been in something else I've seen.
Oh, I'm
the
sure
older
so.
guy.
Yeah, I'm sure so. It did take place in, I think, the director was there to do Q&As, and he did mention that it was based out of Philadelphia, but it could have really been done anywhere on like Philadelphia or New York or something like that. One other thing to note is that this won Best Short of the whole fest. So, I mean, that goes to show that people vibed with it, certainly, even on that level. It was a very emotional story. I mean, there are endless stories of Holocaust survivors and the guilt that goes along with it, and this embodied that really well, I thought. But yeah, it was a very well done story. And it was, again, a small story. It takes place in an actual clock shop. Yeah, everything felt very true to life. And there was shots you never, obviously it wasn't set in a concentration camp, but the setup, the way that it was laid out worked incredibly well. So kudos to their location scouts.
Yeah, they did a really good job.
They did.
And it sounds like they have plans to go further than the short with it. Because he said, since this is an actual person that he knew, he has his whole life that he wants to bring to a movie.
Yeah. This was, I guess what you would call, I think they called it just a proof of concept. Probably, more than anything else. So that's kind of where any of this stuff starts. It sounds like he's got the script either mostly written or on the way. So if they can make this work, they'll go from there.
Yep.
So the next one up was called The First Sequel. It was probably one of two incredibly short ones.
Yeah.
But this one was my favorite of the block. It was so funny.
It was well done. Yes.
Yeah. Basically, a bunch of Neanderthals are sitting around telling stories. Their master storyteller gets done telling this very epic tale, and then people start to disband, and he says, "But wait, there's more!" And he goes on to try and give this massive continuation of the story that was ended, and people start to question, why is this needed? What about, motivations? And he goes on to say, well, how am I going to support myself if I'm adding more to the story? And there's a commercial break with mud bricks. It's super short. It's about 6 minutes long, but it is just super cute. And it was all motion capture. So
yeah. And from the credits, at least, it had a very small crew.
Yes.
So with such a small crew, they did a great job.
They did. I think there was only 2 voice people, too, so...
I think there were 4 characters that talked, but I don't know if they were all the same person or not.
I think, well, the way that they did the credits, they showed the guy's face doing the motion capture, and then they had 4 different actors.
Maybe, yeah.
I could be wrong, though. There might have been more. They did all sound sort of the same, but not 100%.
They could have been. I don't know, but yeah, that would make sense if it's motion capture, so you don't need a lot of people, even though there were technically a ton of characters, because you had all the people around in the cave, and there was an upper level of the cave too.
And then you had the guy selling the mud bricks, which was the most fascinating character. But no, it was just a fun, light short, and especially when you have a block that includes a Holocaust story.
Yeah.
Yeah. Up next was one called Carmen. It was in Spanish, but it was essentially Carmen and the Magic Spoon. Carmen and the Wooden Spoon.
Magic Spoon works too. It was a magic spoon.
It was it was a magic spoon. I think the actual name, as it translated, was Carmen and the Wooden Spoon, according to the website. But either way, man, this one, I didn't cry at a lot of stuff, but man, this one hit me hard. It was animated. It was John described it as like a PBS kids show with extra budget.
Yeah, that's what it felt like to me. Like that type of simple character design, but there was some more shading and
Yep.
yeah. It felt like a lower budget animation, but higher than regular low budget animation.
Yeah. And that was just in the animation type. The story they told was quite a lot deeper.
Yeah.
Definitely not a kid's. Well, I suppose it could be a kid's story.
It could be.
Yeah, but it definitely hit on some relatively deep subjects. Basically, you had a grandma and a granddaughter who explored the world through cooking and this quote magic spoon that took the granddaughter on adventures.
Through her grandma's memories.
Yes, and her book of, like, she had a picture book with recipes and all of her experiences and such. The mom is a catering person, or like a caterer, is always quite busy and is unable to spend time with her daughter. And the grandma gets either dementia or Alzheimer's or something along those lines. She begins to lose her memory, and the mom and the daughter start to try and bring the grandma back to these memories and make her happy.
Through cooking.
Through cooking, yes. Yeah. Which, I mean, generally speaking, that's kind of a universal thing.
And I've heard that can work, not permanently, but like it can help bring back memories and people can become more of their old self through something specific that they cooked in the past.
Absolutely. And it was really well done. Like,
yeah, it was.
The story was well told. It didn't screw around time-wise. Like, it told the story it needed to tell, it hit you where you live, and then it moved on. Mm-hmm. And then it flew off on a giant wooden spoon. But if you can, personally, I would say if you can seek this one. Of these, the others are good, but of these, this is the one that, like, if you need an emotional hit, this one is really good for that.
Yeah.
Let's see, next one up, there was the Ukrainian dance movie.
I think this might have been my favorite, but only because, like, the story was kind of simple. The acting wasn't perfect, but I love watching, like, dances from around the world, and I love musical fusion. And this was, like, a fusion of, like, traditional Ukrainian dance with, like, 80s music.
Oh, yeah. It was really fun.
Like, the last section of the movie was like, this is perfect for me. I love this.
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely. It was bright, and it deals with some heavy stuff because it is taking place in modern day. There's mention of, so it's a father that owns, like, or who takes part in a Ukrainian culture center. His daughter danced in Ukraine, but she had to come back because of the war. And he plans to go back to help rebuild. And basically, they're saying that we win the war by being able to spread our culture and spread what we do in multiple different ways. Yeah. And the end is this gloriously awesome traditional Ukrainian dance. And it's fantastic.
It was really fun.
Yeah, bright and colorful, and just, it's a celebration. It really, truly is. Let's see. Another one that we hit was Clean Plate, which I'm not sure how I feel. Like, it was funny. It was super cute. And I can see what they were going for, but I don't know that it was...
At first, it didn't feel like it was supposed to be sort of a fantasy. Like, it felt grounded until it didn't. Yeah. And then it felt weird. I don't know. I liked aspects of this, but it was not my favorite.
Yeah, it had moments of fun, like, but there was something that might have been missed. And not to say it was well shot. It had, like, everybody did a great job. The essential stories, you've got this Michelin star chef who never has a dish come back that has anything on it. Everybody finishes their plates. He sends out this gorgeous looking fish, and the waiter comes back with it. He remakes it, it goes out and comes back almost immediately. And he goes out to check on the customer to see what he can do to make their meal better. And it's a mob boss along with his enforcer. And then you find out the dish is actually for his dog.
And the dog won't touch it.
Right, but it's
which
also...
is the most unbelievable part to me.
Right, but it's also fish. It's like if you know what your dog likes...
That's true, but like any dog I've known would eat literally anything.
That is a good point. If your dog is willing to eat grass and or anything else put in front of them, yeah, no, that would make sense. The story was cute. The dog was cute. There was just some...
It took a weird turn towards the end because he said if you don't make something my dog will eat, then somebody's going to lose their head. And then they were acting like they were going to chop off the waiter's head. Yeah. Which was just weird.
Yeah. So he ends up making a steak, puts it in front of the dog. the dog's not touching the steak, but then he puts a steak on the floor and the dog goes to town and like finishes his plate, which ultimately is, good because, if you don't eat your meal, then you're not going to get any dessert, which could have very well been the waiter's head. The last one was Tango in Room 1310. Story was pretty simple again, but, with any short, the simpler story is normally better. A gent walks into a hotel room, gets all gussied up, and he goes out with a ring and a bunch of flowers to propose to his girlfriend. She never shows up and finally calls to say, hey, I'm sorry, I can't do this anymore. And then he goes back to his hotel room. Sad eats a giant thing of ice cream, which it's good to see that gentleman deal with the need for ice cream when they're sad as well. But then he sits down in front of the TV and a tango comes up on screen, and that apparently helps him to feel better.
Well, I think he was the male dancer in the tango. I wasn't sure if the girl was supposed to be his girlfriend.
I think, so it starts off, so it's on TV. It is initially a different couple, but then it turns into him and
okay.
I assume his girlfriend. We never see her, so it's kind of assumed.
Yeah.
And then the very end of it, there's a knocking at the door quite early in the morning, and the way the knocking goes kind of matches with a tango music.
It was fine. Like, it was well shot. It was a simple story. Like, I wouldn't say it was my favorite, but it wasn't bad.
No.
It was good for what it was.
Yeah, absolutely. It had some fun bits. Like, it was cute. Anyone going through a breakup, especially that level of breakup, could probably, relate to it. Mm-hmm. I suppose a tango is a style of dance that kind of goes along with sadness, or like, it's an emotional style of music or dance. So that might have been why it was a tango, but I'm not sure.
I feel like the more interesting thing was the fact that the director was main actor was there afterwards talking about the film. It was made in a very short amount of time.
Yeah, like a day and a half.
Yeah, and
Small
he was talking
crew.
about like getting through the weather because like they got rain in the short, but that was incorporated into it really well.
It was very well done, and it was coming down like cats and dogs. So
yeah, so the short looked good.
Yeah.
But again, a very simple story. There wouldn't be something you could turn into a feature out of this. It was just he wanted to make a short film in a small space and just tell an interesting, very short story.
Oh yeah, well, and that it comes with its own set of challenges, but those challenges can be turned into creative results as well. And they did some great stuff, like the way that they incorporated the different channels, kind of talking about, you flip through the channels and everything relates back to your state of mind. Mm-hmm. That's a classic trope, but it always works well, and it was well done here.
Also, the fact that he didn't talk at all in the short. That was a choice on his part. And I noticed it, but he made sure to mention at the end. He did that on purpose. He wanted to tell a story without saying anything.
Absolutely. And it was well done, and he did a great job of conveying emotions, and it was good.
Yeah.
So a fitting ending, I think, for the block.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's kind of the full block. To follow up on the predictions that I made about winners, I wasn't right at all.
It was stuff we never saw.
Yeah.
Other than watching Walter, and I think one other thing got something. I don't remember what it was.
Yeah, I don't remember offhandedly either. But yeah, I'm looking at the descriptions for the things that won. I had heard a couple people offhandedly speaking, and they said, "Oh yeah, great," but you can say that about any short. Mm-hmm. It is such a subjective thing. And congratulations to the winners, though. Well put together pieces across the board. Like, I don't think we saw anything that wasn't well put together.
No, yeah, everything was really well done. And like, I should have thought that maybe things that we didn't see would win, because like there were so many movies at this festival, and we only saw a fraction of them.
Oh yeah.
So it makes sense that we didn't see everything that won.
I mean, and the way that they break it down, there are 21 different short blocks, and those short blocks range average from 4 to about 7 items based on how long they are and everything. So, and there was 150 things total. So you're talking at least 80 odd shorts in addition to 40 or 50 odd features. No, sorry, more than that. Like 60 odd features across an entire week of stuff. So, yeah, there'd be no way to hit everything, but I think we got a really good balance.
Yeah, we did.
But overall, how did you enjoy your first film fest?
It was really fun.
Good.
makes me want to go to more film festivals.
Absolutely. Once they start you down the road, there's no going back. Ha 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 ha!
Yeah, I mean, it's all totally different stuff than I normally watch, but I like watching stuff. Like, I like going into things blind, and that's what film festivals are for usually.
Oh, yeah.
Like, we had a basic idea of what things were going to be about, but, like, none of these are big budget Hollywood blockbusters that we're just waiting for them to be released. This is all stuff that we don't really know what we're getting into. And that's the fun of it.
Oh, yeah. Agreed. Probably the most well-known thing I saw personally, which this would have been before you came into town, it was a documentary called The Porcelain War, which was up for an Oscar in this previous year's Oscars. And I didn't make the connection until afterwards when I was looking through the information on it. And it's like, oh, it was up for an Academy Award for Best Documentary. Oops. But no, that's probably the most well-known thing that I saw, and that was after the fact. I mean, a good chunk of these movies had some kind of Hollywood influence, whether it be an actor or, director or someone associated with someone. But with an industry as widespread as the filmmaking industry is, I think you'd be hard-pressed not to have some kind of influence one way or the other. But that's not to say there weren't a lot that were just, this person was like, you know what, I'm going to make a movie. And they did. And it turned out awesome. Because there was so many that were like one or first or second features.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and even though, I will say, even the ones that I didn't personally like were still well done. Like,
yeah.
I don't think we saw anything that we could say was bad.
No.
Just not to my taste.
Right, and that's such a subjective thing.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, it was, and so much stuff shot on iPhones.
Yeah,
and
which
maybe
is very cool.
Yeah, and maybe it was just the stuff that we ended up in, but there was...
Maybe.
Yeah.
But iPhones, I feel like, are kind of perfect for some of these documentary type things. Because, like, while we were watching Call Me Dancer, before I even knew that it was shot on iPhone, I was wondering how they were following this guy with a film crew.
Yeah.
But it was just this woman. What was it? The person who was there, or was somebody else?
I think there were two. There was two people filming, depending on when it was. Like, they had their main person who was not there. He was based out of London, I think.
Oh, that's right.
But then she was also doing quite a lot of filming herself. So.
Okay. Either way, they just had somebody in a probably small room, because I was wondering how they were going to fit stuff into this room to film these things. But if they just have an iPhone, that's super easy to film with.
Absolutely so. But yeah, I've been to the film festival for several years, and it keeps getting better every year that I go. So, and
good.
That's the sign of a good film fest. It has a reputation for being a very good one, and it held up to that reputation this year. There's a lot of time and care that goes in.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, if you happen to find yourself in Dubuque, Iowa, on or about the second to last week of April, it's worth a shot to come on over and check it out. Prices aren't terrible, and it's a fun little town, and yeah.
Yeah, we've done so much more than just the
film
festival. We tried all sorts of food from all over the world, and coffee shops, and there's places you can go for sightseeing. We didn't even see a fraction of what you could go to.
No, absolutely. So.
But I think I'm going to come back and do some more stuff.
Nice. Well, we'll look forward to it. I appreciate you coming, man. I hope you had fun.
Yeah, I did. Thanks for inviting me.
You're welcome on your podcast. It's been fun having someone to discuss these with. Like, the one thing, and I think a lot of us as YouTubers kind of find this, you have your online people that are kind of your people when it comes to movies. Mm-hmm. But locally, it can be difficult to find people that are kind of in that same mindset as you are. Yeah. So to be able to have someone to go to this stuff with and kind of bounce stuff off of, like, in the moment, it's awesome. Like, we talked about it when it came to Hundreds of Beavers, when I saw that a couple of years ago. I was so blown away by how good it was. But the idea of talking to someone about it and trying to explain all these things and them not going, well, I can appreciate that you're trying to tell me what this is, but I have no idea what you're talking about until they're able to see it and go, oh my gosh, this or that. Like, it took a year to be able to get people to that point, which I'm grateful it got there, but it was maddening in the meantime.
I can imagine. It's a bizarre film, even if you have seen it, but like if you haven't seen it, to try and explain it to somebody and why it's good.
Exactly.
It's one that you just have to see.
Absolutely. And, there was a lot of good stuff this year, but that level of weird we really haven't encountered, or we didn't encounter this year, but just that whole notion, it was so nice to have someone to be able to, again, just to talk to about stuff with. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, it was really fun.
Yeah.
Well, that's probably all for now, but maybe we'll do this next year, and
absolutely.
Maybe we'll find something as weird as Hundreds of Beavers next year.
We can only hope.
Okay, well, thanks for inviting me. Thanks for doing this with me.
Absolutely.
We'll see you on the next thing.
That's right. Ha ha ha!
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe and follow my co-hosts as well. All of our links will be in the description below. If you'd like more podcasts like this one, all of our shows are available on YouTube as well as most podcast platforms. If you'd like to support this show, check out Joncast Media on Patreon for everything here, plus bonus and extended episodes you won't find anywhere else. We'll be back soon with another brand new episode, so thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.